Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Just thought I might take a moment or two of your time just to run through my River vinyl collection. I don't collect anywhere near as much Bruce as I used to in the olden days, but I still try to collect as much as I can to do with the River album and River tour. Not least of which is my fondness for all the various releases of the River album itself. So there's just a few here. First up is the Dutch pressing, as I think most of us know now. Contains the mispressing of Held Up Without a Gun. There we go, sits there quite nicely after point blank, and that would have been a nice triple shot there, Held Up Without a Gun into Cadillac Ranch into I'm a Rocker. I think that would have worked very well myself, but I would say that because I'm a big fan of the record. Aside from that, the Dutch release is your pretty standard. Grease, no inner sleeves with this one, and it's quite battered. I'm not sure I've actually played it, to be honest. And it's just your normal fare, to be honest. Nice bit of a different font on the label. There's nothing else really to distinguish it other than the manufactured in Greece for disc guy CBS AEBE in the corner. Next up, the Israeli gatefold. Now when you first take a look at this, it does look like a bootleg. You can see how dark it is, and on the back it doesn't seem to have been guillotined properly, but it is an actual bona fide release. On the bottom, manufactured and distributed by CBS Records, Tel Aviv. But of course the real winning point for this release is the wonderful gatefold sleeve. Again, looking a bit dark, and these pictures here, if you remember on the original release, are actually in colour. And there are no inner sleeves, which is understandable, seeing how all the pictures, or most of the pictures, are actually on there. Lovely item. There are other gatefold versions available according to Peter's wonderful Lost in the Flood site. Hong Kong, Mexico, South Africa and Venezuela do gatefold sleeves, and interestingly the Venezuela pressing has a lime green tone on the front. Right, BR274 is the catalogue number of this bootleg from Korea. As you can see, it's a strange looking fellow, front and back, and it looks like a school child has put this together with the folded corners and sellotape. Definitely a bootleg. Some very strange labels. You can see how they've been pressed off centre, and even some of the titles they get wrong in their enthusiasm. Cadillac Ranch looks like Oadillac Ranch. And there was the other one. There was another one lurking around somewhere. Yeah, Jackson Cage is how would you pronounce that? J-O-R-S-A Cage, and Two Hearts is Two Tears. Very good. Definitely a bootleg. Not sure I played that. It might not even be the River. It could be something really special. Anyway, my original UK version, which I bought on the day of release from Virgin Records in Cardiff in 1980, played it to death. It's all bruised and battered, as Bruce would say himself. But little jewel in my collection. This River album means an awful lot to me. Don't often see them with these vanity stroke hype stickers, so that's a nice one to have. I kept that. Don't play that as often as I used to, but I do now and again for sentimental reasons. USA, standard pressing, nothing particularly remarkable about this other than that it is mint, although it's open. It's definitely mint and unplayed because I opened that one myself. And why would I open a sealed copy of the River? Well, because I have another sealed copy of The River. There we go. Nice sharp corners as well, beautiful condition. $3.99 for double album was even very good back in 1980. And wasn't there something going on with Bruce and the Clash, keeping their record prices as low as they could? And the Clash followed it, London Calling with Sandinista, which was a triple, which I think sold for a single, something like that. Google is your friend, have a look. But that's an absolute beaut. That's in excellent condition after all these years. USA white label promo, no lyric sheet with this, but that's understandable. And I played this not so long ago. When I bought it, I didn't realise it was mint and unplayed. And when you play these white label promos, if you still play vinyl, the sound is absolutely fantastic. I try not to play this too often because I don't want to harm the vinyl in any way, so that sound quality disappears. But that is absolutely fantastic. Okay, the next version is your standard USA version, but that's autographed. So why it's stacked up on the floor in my den with my other records, I don't know. That should be on the wall, so maybe I'll get around to that one day. Another UK pressing. Nothing remarkable about this, it's just another one that I've collected. And the same again with this USA version. Just another standard USA version that does get played. So that's probably why I've kept that one, because that's a player. Possibly the nicest one is the Japanese version. And as collectors we know how well the Japanese do all these things. Lovely obi strip front and back. Not in the greatest condition, it's seen better days, but it still plays beautifully, and as you would expect from a Japanese pressing, is superior to the other pressings, in my opinion anyway. And it has this lovely fold out book. I don't read Japanese, but I presume that's some sort of biography there before we actually get to the lyric book itself. Interesting that all the pictures are from the previous Darkness tour, but that is a nice one. I think you can still pick these up on eBay. They're not fabulously cheap, but they're not too expensive. That's a nice one. Okay, the Philippines. First saw this one, I thought it was an actual bootleg, because obviously the letter in there makes it stand out, but it is an official release. Didn't have any inner sleeves or lyric sheet with this one. Maybe they weren't there in the first place, I don't know. And a nice variation on the label, the blue and white as opposed to the burnt orange CBS and the red Columbia. So that's nice. That sounds pretty good as well. I played that again not too recently. Yugoslavia, a darker tint, almost looks like a copy, but it is an official release. Interesting variation on this. These inner sleeves are extremely thick, very, very, very heavy duty. Why? I don't know. But there's your standard CBS burnt orange, I call it. I don't know the technical name for those labels. Australia, and presuming the Roctagon is a shop, but actually I can see the CBS walking eye in the middle there, so obviously something to do with CBS and not the shop from which it was bought. Again, fairly unremarkable, other than Springsteen's Australian music publisher Jonathan has a mention there. Said in brackets B Springsteen Jonathan. I wasn't quite sure what that was at first, but again I think referring to Peter's Lost in the Flood website. That is actually the Oz publisher. Brazil. Now the Brazilian release was interesting for a couple of reasons, one of which there is a mispressing of the price you pay on the labels, listed as the price you play apparently. My copy unfortunately doesn't have the mispressing, but it's nice the Brazilian release, because alongside the English titles bracketed are the the song titles in Portuguese. Don't always see that. Maybe I have on a few other releases, I can't remember, but I don't collect other vinyl as enthusiastically as I collect copies of The River. So there we are, that was a little brief run through what I have. I did bid on a Zimbabwe pressing a little while ago on eBay, but that went for silly money in the end and it was way out of my reach. So there is a Zimbabwe version doing the rounds. There's a misprinted USA version where side 4, instead of having the red Columbia label, it's actually blank, but I've never seen one of those. And as I said, the gatefold ones are missing from my collection as well, from Hong Kong, Mexico, South Africa and Venezuela. It goes without saying that nearly all the information I've garnered on these pressings is from Peter's Lost in the Flood site. Can't fault that. So if anybody comes across any rare River items they'd like to trade or sell, then let me know on the Facebook page and we'll see what we can do. Thanks for your time. I'll catch up with you all in the future, I hope. Bye.